Can you hear me, Kate?
Hello.
Can you hear us now?
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. That being said, I would like to call the May Candidates Town Board meeting to order at this time. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Vestola,
Present.
Councilman Stat,
Here.
Councilman Gronwell,
Here.
Councilwoman Crowley,
Present.
Councilman Mitchell,
Here. And salute to the flag led by Councilman Frederick Mitchell.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Need a motion for approval of the April 14th minutes? Is there a second? Second by Terry. Any discussion, corrections? Those in favor? Aye. That carries unanimous. I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing pertaining to local law number 2. Public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor? Aye. We are now entertaining comments pertaining to local law 2. That's sort of been in the code book for a long time. Yes, sir.
What's the motivation behind this change? Reason is
It's what was Bob Best put in or privilege of the floor in 2011.
Oh, I understand. It's a reason. My personal opinion is we ought to have building permits for any buildings. You heard the fellow here a couple of weeks ago talking about tiny houses. People are gonna move into these things. We really want to have larger buildings, not subject to our regulations. I don't think it's a good idea at all to even have that, much less to expand.
Okay. What,
People live in tiny homes that are 100 square feet.
I think Joe would have a good answer for that. He planned on being here. I don't know if he lost track of the time because the ZBA meets at 7:30. I just texted him, but he would have an answer for that. I believe, and I'm not sure, back at the time, the state is 144. I believe. But again, Joe needs to answer that.
My remembrance was to be consistent with the state.
Just my opinion.
but a tiny home still has to go through the planning board because it's a resident.
Now, you're
Yes, yes. And again, Joe needs to answer this because I questioned him about this too. You're going to have to wait for his response. I'm sorry. But I questioned him about that to make sure that the language was proper.
Table it until he gets here.
I think that's a great idea. Is that good for you, Ted? Sure. Absolutely.
Just so you know why.
Yeah, no, more discussion is certainly warranted, and the more input we have, the better. Okay with that. So those in favor of tabling the meeting, tabling this?
Yes.
Okay. We'll close that public hearing. Ted, I hope you'll be here. Well, you'll certainly be here June 12th. That's a real big meeting.
June 12th.
Yes, or no, I'm sorry.
I was just postponing it until Joe gets there.
Yeah,
If he
that's
gets-
all. Yeah.
If he gets here. If we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, if he gets here tonight, I'd be glad to, yep. It might be the next meeting. Okay,
Nobody else.
He can always zoom in.
I wondered why and went up to New York State and see that, they allow buildings up to. I never thought about tiny homes.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we heard a fellow here.
Yeah.
Last month,
Right.
talking about tiny homes.
Right.
So do we want to open ourselves up? To tiny homes we occupy? And I know they would have to get CFO, but still, there are issues I have. So
Why would they have to get a CFO?
to live in it? I believe they would need a CFO, should.
Yeah.
But still, I think it's something we should think about.
good, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, people could build them and rent them.
Oh, sure,
You know,
right.
Ben's-
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We don't know where this is going. There's already some of those here. I know.
Is it really?
Yeah, Woods Edge is quite
Pretty
small.
tiny.
They're occupied.
Hmm.
So.
And,
I don't
and,
think
and they could,
so.
they can go vertical to get all kinds of space. Yeah, you can put a lot in there. Okay, good point. So do we formally close that public hearing and go back to our regular scheduled town board meeting? Okay. Privilege of the floor, essentially, I am presenting tomorrow to two student, participation in governments. It's called PIG for short. That's the acronym for a government civics course. And it'll be tomorrow. And I attended the Ontario County Meet the Farmer. That was just excellent. A lot of farm to table and seeing what our locals are doing. The third one, attended the vacant rental program in Richmond. And one of my motivations for that is thinking about what options we have for this building.
What, the house next door?
Yes,
Oh, you don't want to go by it.
sure.
I've been in the house.
Yes.
The foundation is shot. It is full of rodents and animals. I don't see any reason to keep it.
Mark was supposed to burn it down years ago.
Yep,
You didn't burn it down.
we were training in it and then you told me not to train in it anymore.
Right.
What were you training?
Fireman.
We're fire training.
Fire training.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we were breaching walls. We were doing escapes, mayday escapes. We were doing, yeah, we hadn't burned it, but we were doing forcible entry. We were doing all that kind of stuff. Couldn't go in the basement. There was 2 foot of water in there. Foundation was collapsing. And we were drilling on it, and then Chris asked that we not drill on it anymore. So we stopped. Now you can't burn it.
Now you can't burn it.
Why?
Why?
Not
Multiple-
allowed.
It's not allowed, yeah. I mean, we would literally have to take, it wouldn't be worth it. Because you literally have to take all the siding off, all the roofing off, all the windows out. Make sure there's no lead paint, asbestos, the insulation.
What? Really?
You'd have to, oh, yeah, yeah. You're better off calling somebody like we just put out to bid today,
Right,
junk hole cleaned up,
right.
and then come down, tear it down, junk it all. Yep.
And let people take what they want. That's what they did, the house that was kitty corner from us in the park. And everybody came and just took what they wanted, and then they, Craig Dietz came and put it in a dumpster.
Yep.
But wouldn't you be liable at that point? Well, I'm concerned that it sits over there. Yeah, no, I hear you.
I'm concerned that it hasn't gone up in flames as we speak.
Okay.
Just, I mean, there's no power in it.
Yeah, we turned the electric off.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
22.
And I mean, it's just, it's a drug house waiting to happen. That's all it is. It's a drug
So,
house waiting to happen.
There's some grants out there and it's just a matter of finding which one. So I was made aware of another grant that could help tear it down. The county's made me aware of those types of things, so at least like to readdress that issue. The other thing was if we can get that parcel back on the tax roll, the town doesn't really need the property. I don't see us. What we got stored in the garage is a few pumps.
Part of the septic system is building on that property.
It does go onto that property.
I remember when it was put in. That's why they bought that house to begin with.
So we could put a septic over there.
This pumps over to that.
Yeah, and then eventually, add on to this building. Yeah, that was the original intent.
Well, I guess I just won't worry about it till Judy, someone else can take care of it. Not bad. But
Sounds to me like the two need to be re-subdivided into one.
it's one property now, it's all adjoined, so. I'm moving along. Communications. It's been a good meeting.
Now with fire department would still like to drill in it. I mean, it's an awesome house to drill in. You get
I say,
several good drills.
go for it. How's that? Go for it.
Seriously?
But the thing is that it barely locks, and if we're concerned about it turning into a drug house, we want to fix
The
that
locks don't
portion.
matter with the drug house.
But right now, it still locks.
Yeah,
Well, they
but-
would break the lock.
that does not deter
Right.
people. that
No.
need it.
I think if the doors, a locked door is certainly better than a not locked door is my.
Yeah, it's sort of the curious,
We should be
folks.
curious, but yeah, then
Right,
the bad people say it was never locked. Someone forgot to lock it.
That's
You
correct.
cannot prove that it wasn't.
that's correct.
You're better off just leaving it unlocked and letting. Things will get broken then.
Right.
They kick in a door frame and then you can't even shut the door.
And we've got even more fun. Then we have Joe telling us,
Yes,
right, that we have to take it down.
we have taken down the neighbors. Canada's town will be.
Well, these neighbors too would be quite.
Oh, yeah.
Sell to the people next to you, they probably buy it up in a heartbeat.
But then we.
Absolutely.
We can do their septic then.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Somebody. Yeah, somebody, just mark out where the septic system is, clear that.
There he is,
Excellent.
man of the hour.
At this time, I would like to reopen.
About you?
Reopen our public hearing on the minimum or a building permit. And Joe, Ted had a question. Maybe Ted, you can just ask it again. We'll just reopen the public hearing informally.
I would ask, what's the reasoning behind this? I would express my opinion that I think it's a bad idea to have any buildings in town not subject to a town regulation, setbacks, etc. They also have the possibility of people occupying small, tiny houses, and I think if we relax our law, we could open ourselves up for some of those. So I'd like to know what's the reasoning behind it. in the first place. And I know New York State allows it. Right. It's not the reason.
So I don't know the reasoning actually. I stumbled across this. We're talking about 100 to 144 square feet.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I stumbled across a temporary resolution in the book. And I tried to go back and find the minutes. I didn't try super hard, but
Yeah, I found him. It's all there. It was just under privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting.
right,
And that's all that,
It was a resolution.
yeah, and I didn't know. What the
No, it was
reason-
a motion.
it wasn't on resolution.
So they're still subject to the zoning laws. And it would be super hard to, I can find it 12 by 12,
On the internet, you see all kinds of people living in tiny houses.
They do it.
right,
They do it.
right, and I think around the same time Richmond switched theirs from 100 to 144 because. Or maybe they were talking about it, after Spencer left, because they were getting so many variance requests. For. A 144, I'm not sure what the reason.
I thought back when Bob proposed it, it was because that's what the state was going with and he felt we should match the state requirement.
Right, that certainly could have been it.
Sure, but you know, home rule can always be, you know, a bit more
Changed.
strict.
Right. And we've just been practicing this for. Well, I don't know, close to how long now?
September 2011.
2011, right, so. And I haven't come across anybody trying to occupy one. Since I've been here, I don't know, I can't speak for Steve or Bob.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So
So there's
today,
no reason.
so today, if I wanna put up a building that's 144 square foot, I don't have to do a building permit. Then I can get by you.
Yes,
Today, you do, right?
No,
I don't know,
If we pass this tomorrow,
right,
she doesn't have to get.
now, there is another thing in the code that's called a zoning permit. And I think if this law changes now that anything under 144 would be subject to a zoning permit. That wouldn't require all the building review, the building code. I wouldn't care how it was built. They would have to come in, get a zoning permit. And then wherever they put it, I would have to go out and measure to make sure it's within the zoning laws.
Just the dimension of the building.
The dimensions and to make sure it's, 50 feet from the road, 20 feet from the property line. And it's not more than 35 foot tall,
Right.
so,
So it would be subject to setback.
yes. Well, it still is, because any structure, it's still considered a structure, even though you don't do a building. And it is still subject to setbacks. Under the zone.
Is there anything that exempts someone from having to go to the planning board?
Yeah, if it's under 800 square feet.
Yeah.
In the,
If it's in the Lakeshore.
Lakeshore district. In all the other districts, you don't have to go to the planning.
Rural district.
Oh, right. Yeah, single house, yeah, you just pop it up, get a permit, pop it up.
Yeah, that's an exemption in the rule. There's 3 exemptions and that's one of them if it's a single family.
How you feel now, Ted?
Pardon?
You okay with it?
I think I wanna do
Can I,
more research.
Sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, we can table it as well. Yes, Dorothy.
So how does this impact things like sheds that are close to the lake? Cause we've got one that's been there forever.
Right,
Pre-existing.
yeah, it's pre-existing, so it would.
No, but I mean, if we wanted to tear the old one down, then what are we doing with?
We could build a new one in the same footprint.
Yes, you could build one in the same footprint up to 2 years, and then if you wanted to build something over 144 square feet, it would have to be 20 feet from the high water mark.
Now I got a question for you. If you stay within the same footprint, you don't need a permit to build it at all.
No, you still
Need the permit.
You still
You just
need
don't
permit.
need, you planning board approval.
yeah, you don't need planning board approval and you don't need a variance.
To clarify that.
And the last question I have is, so if you put up 1 or 2 of these, do they count in terms of lot coverage area?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, yeah, cause structure is defined in both zoning and building.
So in the Lake District, there's lot size requirements, right?
Yes.
You can only have, you have to have so much land to build 1 living unit. You have to have a larger piece of land to build 2, right?
Yes, if that happened.
So what happens with this? That's what I'm.
That was my question. Right. The zoning law says that you cannot have more than 1 principal use
Right.
building on a single lot,
This would,
but you can have accessory uses, so shed.
Yes,
You
be an
identify
accessory.
accessory use.
yeah,
So
but
you're
this
not
is a living.
required- You're not required to meet any dimensional requirements for it. Just setbacks.
But the small house is a living unit.
Well, potentially, that's all I'm saying, potentially needs to become living units. And if that happens, then that I would think would be a violation of zoning.
It is. It was, and we have that potential everywhere. Anytime someone puts up a pole barn, a garage,
Right.
so I mean, if someone occupies it, I go into it, and I have to immediately issue violations.
Do you have any reservations about this?
No, I don't. I actually thought 144 was the standard. When I came here, I saw that it was 100. But then it was crossed out with 144, so I was shocked that it was 100 square feet. But. And that was only from talking to other code enforcers, like Richmond. Bring on.
So have we resolved that if I came in and I wanted to build 143 square foot tiny house, that I could do it without talking to you?
No, you can't. You can, cause now
It's a dwelling, right?
now it's a dwelling unit. And Canada doesn't allow tiny homes yet.
Okay, so does that satisfy your concern?
So Canada does not allow tiny homes.
No, not at the moment. It's after talking with Sheila and the county and the Department of State, it has to be labeled as a no, it has to be labeled as a use in the zone. So in the Lakeshore
Okay.
District,
So it's not a permitted use.
yes, that's the word I was looking for. It has to be labeled as permitted use. That's why, like, when I first started, we had someone that tried to put one down in the Lakeshore District.
Remember that.
I had to tell them, hey,
Okay, I was concerned about the setback regulation and the CO of somebody.
So this is basically just for sheds.
yes.
Okay, so in my mind, Ted and Joe, this is collectively in your wheelhouse, so. Are you two aligned or do you need more time to?
No, that'd be fine. with me. I'm fine with it.
I think we've
Hearing the additional requirements that Joe has mentioned. Okay.
And I think I've been regulating it pretty well thus far. I mean. People always call, even if it's under 100 foot plus limit. I have to tell them the setbacks.
You just don't want to perpetrate something that you see as going to be a problem.
Potentially, yeah, potentially down the road, yeah. We can always specify that these are not permitted uses.
Right.
We can update our code to say these are not permitted uses specifically. All right.
And also part of this was tightening up our code book, by the way,
What's what?
tightening up our code book. Which was somebody was asking us to get that done and this was part of it. So thank you for that. Need a motion?
So move.
A second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. That carries.
Closing the public hearing then?
I am now officially closing the public hearing. Those in favor?
Aye.
It is closed. We're now skipping along. We were in communications and I didn't have much to add there. Reports town clerk.
Paying to the supervisor for the general fund, $1,191.79 for water billing, $22,556.52. DEC, $160.61. Animal Population Control Fund, $10 for total disbursement of $23,918.92. And I did attend the New York State Town Clerks Conference in Syracuse. Couple of the classes I took had to do with spies, espionage, and cyber threats. Freedom of Information always has good information in their open session. There was a general session with the Association of Towns. I took a class in towns and regulated cemeteries. They talk about how they try to come from the Division of New York State Cemeteries to work with any local cemetery that may be struggling, which a lot of them are, to try to keep them in place so that it doesn't become an abandoned cemetery that goes to the town. And payment fraud and risk management. So those are just some of the classes I took. And I was able to drive back in that horrendous storm we had and could barely see on the thruway. So
You
It's
didn't stop at Del
treacherous.
Lago?
it's treacherous to go to these conferences.
I make a motion to approve the town clerk's report, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
I'll second.
And this also includes the minutes?
No, we already did the minutes.
So we did that.
We did the minutes. That's right.
So.
Good point. Just check it.
I got a question about communications. Did the sales tax first quarter? did
Yes.
that come out?
It did, and I've asked for some reason, we did not get the email, but we got the check and it was just about 27%, so we're up 22% over what we expected. Yep, so the conservative budgeting still worked. Good, yes. So we're ahead 27.3 roughly. And the reason I got that dot is they normally email, Director Gates was on vacation, somebody new was taking care of things, and we didn't get the comparisons from town to town.
Okay,
Never
no,
did.
I wondered if it was sitting in my junk box.
Nope,
or something.
it
Okay.
never got here, but
Okay.
had asked. And historian report you got a nice. Hopefully you can read it. Hopefully it's not too fine for you to read.
Was, yeah, I get up Megan.
Yeah, okay. Trying to save paper, but we'll work
Yes.
on that.
A lot of big trees there.
CEO report, any questions, concerns?
You wanna add just a water main project.
Oh, yes.
I spoke with Tom and Craig from the Water Authority, and that the pressure test was done, and it passed. The lab samples were sent out last Thursday, so we're waiting on the lab samples to come back, and once the lab samples come back, then they're gonna turn both mains on, so the water can flow through. But I think everybody still has water.
Okay.
And I think they ended up using 3.5 of the 4 hours. They had a couple hiccups, but nothing they couldn't fix.
In the 4 feet?
We're working on, he's gonna work on that the best he can. They found that one side of the property, the water main was 28 inches, and then the other side of the property was 8 foot. So in the initial install, when they installed it,
Probably.
something happened. It wasn't recorded. So they were probing for the line, and they found it, and they realized it was super. And so that was installed before Tom did anything.
Right.
Or his contractor did anything. So the water authority was notified, and said that it has to be 4 feet. If it was 4 feet, it's gonna be up above everyone's driveway.
Okay, so I think I am the only person on the Canadice Town Board today that was directly involved with the installation of the water line. If I was you, I'm not, but if I was you, Supervisor, I would charge Labella for this, because Labella had a on-site quality assurance engineer every day,
Yep,
watching it, measuring it.
in the maroon truck.
Yeah.
So Labella had a person on site every day, all the way through. So that person had to miss this.
I would second that because.
I was thinking that same thing, which is funny, because how many more of these are we gonna find?
It's 28 inches.
The main is.
Yeah. And
It needs to be 4 feet just from the
Yeah,
surface, so
from
the
the top of
tangent
the
point of the
water.
top of the pipe. Are you kidding me?
28 inches.
That's 20 inches short of 4 feet.
Yeah, just flat out shouldn't be.
Right, I agree.
And what happened is some of the soil was excavated. Megan Webster from the county came in because Tom wanted to involve the county to upsize the pipes. As I told him that in the future they were gonna do it. So he paid for the pipe, the county's gonna install it. And what he did was he made a swale there, his contractor, under Megan's direction. And the water authority thought that Tom had dug that out, and it was not dug out, there was just the topsoil was missing.
Right, and I'm wondering if we tile that too, because erosion's gonna be moving.
Right, so Tom has been super cooperative throughout all of this. and
Agreed.
I would hate for him to have to pay for this. Under something that
That's
an engineer or.
something we might wanna talk to Labella about.
We need to talk to Sheila or just Labella.
Well, and we'll probably go through Sheila on this one. And you have documentation, so we have something tangible to give to Sheila?
Yes, I have Craig's. Story behind it, and then Craig emailed the head of the water authority
Dave Rowley
Dave Rowley.
sent an email and he would be more than happy to put something together for Sheila, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get together Wednesday, say 3 o'clock-ish?
yeah, yeah.
That's our big thing for Wednesday then.
I did ask Craig what the odds are of that, of a 6-inch or 8-inch water main freezing. He said in that particular area, it's pretty high, because in the winter, everybody that uses that goes
It's
south.
gone.
So there's
Yeah.
there's zero flow there.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what would have happened if Tom didn't own it and it was gonna freeze? You guys found out. He said, we'll just bring a load of topsoil and dump it there
We heard that.
to get the 4 feet, so.
Okay, well,
So that's our option, is put more dirt on it.
Yeah, Tom is good, he was gonna put more soil on it, he just didn't wanna do the 8 feet, because at that point, it's gonna be.
Too high.
Yeah, it'll be too high, so I don't know.
Or-
Yeah, and well, it would be too high. So it's gonna direct the water in places that it shouldn't go.
Of course.
So we were trying to figure out other options, like insulating the pipe. Potentially, or
just, and what's LaBella's engineer have to say about this?
I didn't talk to him, and he wasn't in, just.
And it was a gal, was she a technician? Cause her rate was like $30 an hour, I think. Her rate was less than the Jason,
Yeah, yeah, she was there the whole.
She with the
whole
chair.
install. Yeah,
but was she an engineer or a
I think
technician?
she was an engineer,
Okay, she's a junior engineer. Yeah.
that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
And Wednesday night, we have, there's a zoning meeting.
Yes,
Yes.
Wednesday night, there's a zoning meeting involving the feds, by
At 7.
7:30.
That's a big one.
Well, we did. They're trying to get an ambulance out of there, but once, can't see. Good. I mean, it's good that you'll be there. Yeah. 4. No, I mean, it was 12 o'clock at night, but you had to be in the road in order to see.
Thank you. Planning board, Ted Mayhood.
The planning board met April 28th. We have the draft minutes. The only business we had was we had a timber harvest site plan application. Property down on 6219 Canada's Hill Road. Very infrequently, people do timber harvest without a licensed EEC forester. And if they have a licensed EEC forester managing one, there's 3 different forester, there's 3 different types of program that represent the play plan. Most all who are in town have someone to do that, so you seldom see them. I think it's the second one I've seen in 21 years. We have spoken many times before the planning board meeting with the forester. A little hyper, but
The one that calls a lot.
yeah, he's calling everybody here. Calling Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy's
But
into
we had
it
a
too.
lot of input and planning board looked at the application, reviewed the application. We're satisfied and again, based a lot on my discussion with Jeremy ahead of time. We approved the application. In the meantime, however, we looked at the forms that we have, timber harvest, and they're so outdated and they're not clear, the wording is ambiguous. So some of us, somebody's gonna take a look at.
From the effort that happened in 20, with Steve Engard.
1999,
Yeah, yeah.
date on paperwork.
Yeah.
And Caitlin, I believe, or maybe Forrester mentioned that South Bristol has somebody has a really good timber harvest packet paper. So we're gonna look into that and then probably we can bring it back to you folks at some point to make it easier for the next one that we have to do.
Is this the Whaley property or used to be the Whaley property?
It's Bonneting now.
Right,
She lives in Corning.
yes, because the logger stopped at my house tonight. He wants to bring the logs down the hill. To my landing area when they logged, I mean, mine's been logged before.
Yeah.
But he can't, it's too steep for him to pull the trees up the hill. So now it's
Are
like
you sure
down.
this is the property? We looked at the slope, the slope
I'm-
is less than 20%, so. That was one of the things we looked at, where's the house going to be, because it's Joe Crucian is the bugger.
There it is.
He wants to bring it down to.
He's bringing it down through my property. Over to my landing area,
It's
which is
not
on,
what was approved. It was approved to bring it straight out.
well, that's why I'm bringing this up to you right now, is because he was just at my. When I got home from work, he was there 10 minutes after I got home from work. And he said, I'm gonna start bringing it down tomorrow.
Awesome.
No, Joe. He was approved.
Here we go.
He was approved to bring us straight out, he showed us the landing area. Jason, south side.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, next Hill Road.
Yeah, 6219.
Mark, can you send me his info? Was that his car?
He need two of them. Wow.
It's on the copy of the application you got too, Joe,
Okay.
Yeah,
because I gave everybody a copy.
oh, new air on the course.
Two different curves, two different style.
We didn't get the information from me, so I don't care. It's just a coincidence that you're talking about it.
Right.
No, everybody who has to sign off on it, I give a copy to. So CEO gets it, planning board gets it, highway gets it.
But yeah, I mean,
We got it first in this case because we didn't approve it. We didn't approve it.
hey, because we walked, I showed him where my landing area was and he goes, oh, this will work out perfect. Drag it down the hill instead up the hill and all. Because mine was logged like 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
So
So
is
the
he
trick
paying
girls-
you? Is he paying you for the use of your landing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not the point. I mean, I'm not, if I wanted to hide it, I wouldn't have said it.
Right. So how would we get approval? I go and tell him.
We have to come back and find
My
it.
word.
And he was, again, that was specified in the plan. The way that law.
Right, I bet he didn't realize who he was talking to, right?
Right.
Oh, he didn't have a, yeah, but that's, Jeremy would have seen it when they started pulling logs and the log trucks and the mud getting out in the road and. Or you would have seen it when you come down the lake road or. Ted, anybody that drove by my house, they would have seen it because they pulled them out right next to the old schoolhouse.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a way to short circuit back to the plan, the devices, site plan, or supervisor's plan.
Unless he pulls the forester in.
If he pulls a forester in, that would be different.
So he's not a forester.
No, he's not a licensed state forester. He calls himself a forester. He's not a licensed state forester.
So I mean, Corey Figure,
Yeah, Corey is.
there's a bunch of.
The difference is DEC has a list of consulting foresters, and I don't know what they give DEC. And that's what our registration has. If it's a registered DEC forest with DEC, then they don't have to go to the planning board. That doesn't mean this guy's not a forester. He's just not registered with DEC. Bruce Robinson is an excellent forester and he's not registered with DEC. So that was the stipulation for us so that somebody knew a little bit more, hopefully, in most cases.
So,
And the fellow sounded good, and his environmental protection plan.
all right, so this has been an issue forever. 25 years ago. 25 years ago. One of the first projects on the Underwood Lake Watershed Task Force's Soil and Water wrote a prototype forest logging. Most of the other towns have adopted it. Canada system. So if you would like to see it, I can send you a copy, but this whole business about taking the proper measures to control erosion, for example, has been there forever. And it's not getting any better. And I have personally intervened. And basically, if the forester is licensed or on the DEC list, it's game over.
Right.
Game over.
Mhm.
DEC won't take any action. That's what I've discovered. When I got proof, I got pictures of massive erosion where they come down and it's running down and their tracked vehicles are going through the stream and the stream is muddy and yeah. If they're on the DEC list, forget it.
Too bad what proof you're showing me, that their attitude.
See what I do have a prototype law, or you could look at,
Is it
South-
South Bristol's
yeah,
full package?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna look at that,
yeah. I think it's like
look
something,
at this regulation and
yeah,
forms and required
yeah.
information.
There's certain,
And then find
Erosion
out what they
control
model
measures.
theirs after. I would also find out what,
What's used there.
right, but then find out where they got theirs from.
well, there's erosion
If I
control
didn't come up
measures,
with it by their.
and there's the time of year. There's the time of year that they do it.
He wants to start today. It's a starting date. Well, he did.
So
There.
Gee, oh,
I
yeah,
can't do
you told me
anything
there's-
about it.
Sunday.
You told me there'd be logs at my house tomorrow.
I'll try to call him tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
I didn't mean to cause, I mean,
Well.
it just came up.
Well, this actually
environmental
saves
stuff.
us time.
Well, Ted. Unless it's changed, our law is just basically a registration, right? You have,
Oh, yeah. That's all it is, pretty much is a registration, not many regulations.
there's no restrictions that go with it.
Not really. I mean, we had lots of discussions and. we
Yeah, yeah,
told the
but-
Board, but
But there's
it's
no,
not written down.
yeah, there's no. Right, it's just
There's
a
no,
registration.
There's no meat to that.
There's no meat.
Okay. thank
No,
you.
but there has been an instance where Joe has gone and put a stop work order on one.
All you gotta do is look at a few of the towns around here. Don't look at Richmond, they're in the same boat, but that way.
Gotta work.
And that's all we had.
Excellent.
We are, just for information, we are looking for one regular board member and one alternate board member.
Steve's still on though.
Well, once a month,
Right.
every week, every month, he says, you have no replacement yet, so.
Well, he's trying, but
But he wants to get, so one of these times he's just gonna resign. It's been here 3/4 of a year or something. Yeah, I'm working.
and Birch is still comfortable with the Ontario County Planning Board.
Yes.
He's getting into it. Oh, good, good, good. All right. Well, thank you for that report. Highway Superintendent, and Ted, I've got a copy for you.
Okay.
So I'll help you with your notes. This is for you. Jerry.
Alrighty, we've got a 60-foot boom lift on rental right now from Admar Supply. We're up trimming overhead canopy on Canada's Hill Road. And prep for the road project up there this summer. I also used it last week at the town barns, had Clark contractors come in and replace a couple of burned out LED lights over the south buildings, and we added a LED street lamp out at the road to go along with our new security camera. To hopefully help us eliminate finding drywall screws in the end of our driveway, or to at least be able to catch.
Right. Do you have the videos around tonight up over there?
I do not yet, it's gonna go right on that pole now that it's up.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So we've continued to haul our stone products for paving, shoulders, chip sealing. Also spent the majority of a day helping the town of West Bloomfield put shoulders on 2 of their roads. Tim Bresk is back for the summer, started first week doing brush cutting. And now we switched over to mowing roadsides. Started on 37, now he's working his way on town roads. Yep. We've been around town with the broom and swept sand salt residue off from, the winter. Just recently, the past week or so, we've spent several days running around town, removing leaf dams and sticks and leaves from in front of pipes and in the middle of the ditches. This is an ongoing issue. Trying to be proactive about it, which seems to work because we haven't had any issues in the past couple of rains. I got some feelers out there with, some of the villages and a supplier of a tow behind leaf vacuum. Just see if we can find, we used one that is, in our price range, new, they're about $60,000. Which is kind of ridiculous from what we can use it for, but. So for something like that where we can go through and eliminate them in one shot. You know, it's just not. It's not feasibly, economically possible to run around with the excavator and just scoop leaves out of the ditches. We also have another intern with us from the high school BOCES program. This time it's from the Wayne Finger Lakes program over in Flint. Christian Wed, who does happen to also be Paul's son. He's in what they call the HERO program over there, which is a combination of diesel tech and the conservation program. So he's either interested in going into diesel repair or possibly getting in with a town or the state DOT, something along those lines. So he's getting a little bit more of an education than he would in that classroom.
I spoke to him today. He said he was involved with the ditching on Kennedy Hill.
Yep, he was up there ditching today.
That's what he said.
He ran the roller last week when we were up there with the grader. He got to be involved with putting shoulders on, so he's getting to see and experience quite a bit more than you ever would in the classroom. And it's the same thing with when we had Evan here a couple years ago. He wanted to be work for the DOT down in Dansville, and I actually reached out to him when the position came open because I knew he was interested in coming back and working for us, but he likes it down there. Yeah, so update on the truck. There's an email that I'll pass around. Latest from this morning, so basically at this point we have 3 options. Two from Tracy Road, one being we switch from the rear PTO to the front PTO for an additional $5,000 to $10,000, which they are insistent that they're not going to cover. The issue with that also being that there's a nationwide parts shortage on those parts, so it could be 4 months before those parts are even available.
What's the position if we take them, that they won't cover it?
Their position is right from the beginning when they put the proposal together that it was a rear engine PTO. And that Viking, the truck outfitter, was aware of that, and now they're pointing the finger at Viking, telling them that this is their problem, why it's not gonna work on their truck.
Okay.
And the issue is partially with their truck and where the locations of the frame cross members are. And being able to have a PTO shaft come off of that backside of that engine. One of the cross members is in the way for that PTO shaft to be flat, which is where we like to see it. I mean, it will fit through there at a heck of an angle, but you're gonna wear out your U-joints and it's gonna prematurely cause damage to the drive shaft for that. You know, they're pointing fingers at each other. Well, we've made suggestions, but they immediately shoot us down, and they aren't bringing anything to the table. This sort of thing. Option number 2. We can cancel the deal. They will refund us our money and we can source the truck elsewhere. did meet with the Max sales rep today. He gave me a new quote for a truck that he priced back in 2023 when we ordered this truck. The price has gone up $20,000 since then. And it is $30,000 more than what we paid for the current truck.
And the PTO would be the way you need it.
It is still, right now, it is still priced as a rear PTO. But there are multiple towns out there that have that exact truck with no issues. Because when it comes across the sales board as a rear PTO, the engineers look at it and they redesign the frame and move what they need to so that it's not in the way. Apparently Western Star is the only manufacturer that does not do that. So they say, take it or leave it, here's what you have.
It's a production truck where they customize it.
Yep,
Good, you know, for the future.
it's very good to know for the future. And the third option, which is from the outfitter Viking, is to raise the height of the dump body 10 inches off the frame of the truck so that the PTO shaft can go over that cross member and the pump. And I do not think that that is a legitimate solution. It is gonna be very unstable and for what we do with that truck with body being up in the air while the truck is in. motion,
Center of gravity is too high,
it will not be safe.
especially on our hills,
Yeah.
and then throw some ice on top of it.
So that means you have
It's
two
kind of
options.
even mind boggling that they would even suggest that really.
Increase the wheelbase.
Yeah. Wow. So that's where we're at. I don't know if you want to discuss this executive session or how we want to approach this.
Yeah, we could, yeah. We can. I think that's a good idea.
And the other thing I got, a revised 284 5-year plan. Was trying to get.
And the key thing, just communicating to residents, that's a revision of the existing plan due to what happened over the winter.
Right.
Right, that needs to be on the website. It's be crystal clear.
One other thing that didn't make the report, I did receive 14 applications for the open position. Narrowed it down to 6 and Mark and myself will be doing some interviews, starting tomorrow.
I had one question, anything else you want to hit?
That's it.
Was the radios ever resolved to your satisfaction? 'Cause I got that as an open item still.
They work a lot better now, yes.
It's only temporary though.
There's still some issues, but I think that's mostly just because they're natural dead areas.
It's only temporary that our radios are working right now.
Why?
Because it just said it's a temporary fix. What they did is they shut down the tower that
Oh,
the tires were fighting each other.
they're like,
When they put one tower back up, then the two towers started fighting.
they're both on the hanging.
So they shut the one tower down and now it's working. But they want to get that other tower back up again, but
Yeah, they've got to reconfigure an entire area. It's a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay,
so that's where they're at.
I get what you're going.
So it's still, I'll keep it open.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it's only temporarily fixed.
It's temporarily, it's not the full fix yet.
Okay.
Well, it's not even fixed.
No,
Okay.
but it's working for now.
It is working,
Yeah,
correct.
right,
Just a word.
yeah, they eliminated the,
The tower.
I forget what it's called, it's, the traffic won't flow correctly on the network. So they eliminated, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Are they gonna fix it before winter?
They won't give us,
They won't give you,
because I imagine, I mean, and I'm just surmising, is that it's gonna cost the county a bunch of money.
oh yeah, they have to re-engineer a large area.
So they're waiting probably for,
um,
well, probably first, so what's gonna cost them.
And an engineer.
And an engineer that's gonna do it.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I will make some communications again. Dig up that hornet's nest. Thank you. United Lake Watershed Task Force.
So we got two of our boats yesterday. Dorothy and I went out this morning and the surface water temperature was about 62 degrees, which is pretty typical for this time of year. Water clarity was around 9 feet, which is about 2 feet low. But we saw lots of tree pollen in the water, which is affecting the water clarity. Lake level late last week was 9 inches high. Today it's 7 inches high. It's going down. And that is pretty typical. In late April, early May every year, we tend to get to be about 8 to 10 inches high. So that's pretty typical. The weed harvesting program is scheduled to run from June 30th to September 4th. Probably actually start cutting after the 4th of July, training the first week. Held a Honeywell Lake Watershed Task Force meeting on July 26th. Normal business. And one of the things we discussed was the cleaning station. Betsy Landry and I met with the New York State Parks and Rec manager of the Honeywell Lake State Boat Launch. And we decided to put the little cleaning station in the westernmost 3 parking spots of the outer parking lot. That way boaters can use it coming in and coming out. And that should start up any day now. And the annual roadside cleanup was suppressed due to a rainy Saturday morning. Really dramatically suppressed. I took my garbage to K&D at 11:10 a.m. April 26th in the morning. I asked the garbage truck driver, who I see every other week. He said, with the lowest he'd ever seen, I was the 10th person at about 200 pounds. Typically, we'll have 100 to 150 people, and we'll get a ton or more of garbage. So, don't know whether was a factor, but it could be that people are not as environmentally sensitive.
Or maybe they're more sensitive, there's less garbage.
That is my update.
No.
I think the weather, I think the weather had a lot to do with it.
Well, there were other factors.
That's right.
Well, there are other factors. Well, first of all, yes and no. I could see the rain forecast for Saturday morning, April 26th. I went out Thursday, the Thursday before. It's a nice day. And nothing, you don't have to do it on Saturday morning, April 26th. You look at the weather forecast, so I kind of, yes, but I still think there's a behavioral change.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you. Assessor's report was filed and pretty straightforward. There was just one typo that got fixed where it's just the 2026. We just did the white out and fixed it. Down at the bottom. It looked like a code name for a top secret project. It was like 2086 or something. Anyways. Any questions on that? Feel free to reach out to Holly. And Water District operations, including the annual report, was emailed to everyone. It's on the website. It's available to everybody.
So, the gallons pumped, again, was high, around 100,000 gallons, from last year. I did learn, that there were 2 leaks in the park. I think they went, 2 or 3 days. and at one point, Andy Duffy told me that, they were losing about 7,000 gallons an hour. So that, definitely, would, explain, higher water usage. And of course, you know, the park has to pay for that.
Just a bit of color commentary.
Pardon me?
You get what you inspect. You notice how the chlorine level below 0.2 milligrams per liters has been 0 for several months.
Yeah.
You get what you expect.
And that flushing that's down by my house,
Yeah.
that thing's been running just about every single day. I don't think they flushed it every day. It didn't used to be every day.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Dave again. I'm not happy with the overhead that I see on the gallons pump. Okay, I'll keep you happy.
Okay, financial reports submitted. Questions, observations, compliments?
Well, I did see that the balance, the March balance was up. And I did the math, and obviously it's a few fire districts. Okay, so with that, I would say the financial report looks good. And let's go through.
Kate made the motion,
Second,
Terry second, those in favor? I abstain. Okay, thank you. Cyber training still top of mind. Need to wait for Nightmare to have another cycle. They didn't have one for this month, so couldn't do one. Jersey Hill engineering study, we got traffic counts from Ontario County. Submitted that to Soil and Water to support the grant application. Comp plan engagement meeting is June 12th, and there's an update. I saw an email that had it at 6:45 p.m.
And you know that there are no grants being released right now. The New York State EDC grant. Because, you know, I was watching weekly.
Well, that grant cycle, it's in this month up. We're meeting next week.
Usually get announced.
Right.
May or June, so
Right.
we can
no,
do May, July.
no. This grant, it's a submit in July, announce in December.
Yeah,
Then 3 to 4 months to get a contract,
right,
if you get awarded.
right,
So it'd be a year from now, best case.
right. And like I say, there are no grants being announced right now. And New
But
York
this
State,
isn't the right time. Grants are announced in December. This grant.
okay,
This isn't the right time.
okay,
Megan will keep us posted. I'm confident in that.
yeah,
She's very, very forthcoming. We do have a town gardener position open if you know someone, and we are pursuing. I did not grab that card yet. I just see that it's still there.
okay, I'll make sure.
But if we can get a Canada Ice resident who's close and understands species native to Canada Ice, that'd be awesome. So. New business, we have the sign. Yeah, I thought Jeremy'd love to see it on the big screen. Jeremy put in the post, and within 24 hours, the sign was capped. This is part of the Finger Lakes Visitors Connection Virtual Museum. There's a very similar sign at Sandy Bottom. Kind of see it. And it's a great placement.
Looks good.
So it's all about tourism. So the virtual museum, there'll be a QR code attached to that sign, and somebody can go in and just take the picture, if you will, get the QR code and find a little more about Canada Ice Lake and Canada Ice. Same thing with our sign in front of the schoolhouse court, former town hall building. And people can also get that remotely. They don't even have to come to Ontario. Kind of if someone wants to research, family member, whatever, it's a win situation. It was also supported by a New York State grant. So again, Jeremy, thank you.
we pass into that post just out of curiosity?
My understanding, it would be, I didn't personally install it, but there were, those signs were, I don't think it's a slip fit. I think it's more, it might even be a tapered fit.
Anti-theft or something.
Yeah. Well, we got a live camera on it now, in case you couldn't tell. Yeah, we'll get cameras up there. It's incredible that we have to even think about these things. We do have a resolution to purchase IT equipment for town staff to keep us modern and make certain that we're insulating ourselves from outside threats. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mark, second, those in favor? Resolution for Honeywell Lake Aquatic Vegetation Program for our upcoming year.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Barry makes a motion,
Okay.
second by Kate, those in favor? All right. And we're our resolution supporting our updated 284 agreement and updated 5-year plan for the Canadian Highway Department.
Make a motion to approve the 5-year highway plan.
Terry makes the motion,
Second.
Rick second, those in favor? Aye. Incredibly, I did not get an email. I did not get any snail mail, but I was at school and I took a picture of the Honeywell Lake performances. So they're maybe getting green. There's 9 performances starting July 4th this year. So they increased the performances by 1. And I think the impetus with the July 4th is to really make it a bigger day between the parade and whatnot, but it's just great to see them. 9 weeks, exciting for that. I did a hand carry, just want approval from the board that I can sign the contract for the weed harvest situation with the county. The board okay with that? Right. Okay, this is a county resolution. Okay. Well, I'll say those in favor. Okay, I will sign that at the next meeting coming up soon. Approval of the bills.
So that small folder over there.
Yes. The one that, oh yeah, Joe
The
might,
big one, son.
Joe. The
Why are we writing checks to ourselves?
that $40.
There's 2 of them, it's $40 and the 11.
Sorry.
Mr. Ewing asked about, using his retainer that he has here to pay for his building permits. And, Krista approved it, and so did Sheila, so it wasn't to me, it was. I wrote the,
Belcher.
yeah, the voucher,
So,
So Krista didn't approve it. She got an okay from Sheila.
yes,
okay, so was the retainer he put on, putting in the water main?
yes,
Coming out of his retainer, there's money left over.
Right.
yes,
So it's just, instead of paying him back, he paid his building permits.
yes,
So he paid for the permits and now we're gonna take money out of his retainer and reimburse him.
no, the money was there in the retainer, and he just. Used the money that he had in the retainer to pay for the permits.
Yeah.
But it had to be written. In check fashion from.
Instead paying his retainer back, we just kept the money to pay for permits.
Since we already had it.
Right.
We thought it would be simpler.
Right.
I still don't understand why we're sending him checks, sorry. I
Okay.
lost
We're
it.
not.
We have money from him to start with. We have,
Right.
let's say $200, okay? He needs a building permit, so it comes out of that $200.
I understand
So
that.
the check's not written to Mr. Ewing. It comes out of his account. Joe
Right.
takes that check to pay for the permit and we deposit it back into our
Right.
funds.
Like I say, it's for.
It's like an inter-fund transfer.
It's for audit purposes.
So you're taking it out of one pocket and putting it in another.
Yes, it creates an audit trail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Service, it didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Get it back and I'll sign it.
Okay, team. This is the most confusing way to do this that I can imagine. I'm signing it,
So.
But anybody else coming along 5 years from now will never figure out what happened.
Good luck for that, right?
Yeah.
Ross Road. What's the, do we have a signed project area? Yeah.
Not yet, and the, number one, and number two were both informed, that they have to sign the agreement that was written by Nate. I checked it, and I haven't heard from Canable yet. Via email or phone call. We're waiting.
Okay, we should touch base with him, because the date on the project approval that he had to sign by was the 30th of April. And if you didn't get it before the 30th of April, we can, update that date. Okay.
The other privilege of the floor I had real quick was.
Oh, sure.
There's a resident down on County Road 36. who-
Wait a minute, I haven't gotten a motion and a second and an approval on the bills.
I make the motion.
I'll
second.
Oh, there we go. Rick did a second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
That carries.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to open up the privilege of the floor. Is there anyone out there?
Yes.
Oh, yes, Joe.
There's a resident down on 36 who is going to do a small venue again, like he did last year.
The same gentleman,
Same gentleman.
same location,
Same location.
same stage
Yeah, the
pointing.
guy
So
with the tickets, yeah.
Yep, and, you know, last year we had 0 complaints, which somehow, I don't know how complaints, but we didn't get any.
Yep.
The county sheriff was great. And the fire chief was great, so he wants to up his game a little bit, he wants to bring in an alcohol truck and 2 food trucks. So, the only thing he has to change, because it's under 500. That are gonna be there. Is he has to, the food trucks have to supply, permits. To be able to operate food trucks in Ontario County.
which they like to have. Again, just a side note, I overtly drove in there late at night and everyone was fine. There was no yelling, no screaming. It was like, wow, this is really nice. Really nice.
He did good.
I was
They
pretty,
had a fire lane.
I had
set up.
big
What are we
fears.
talking about? And
a
it's-
concert venue right on your road.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was fine. I couldn't believe it.
Down at McGorry's old campground, the guy has a,
So
It's right
Ted,
across from
Ted.
Poplar.
to sell beer or whatever in the lake zone, would that require a special use permit from the planning board?
It's not in the Lake Shore District, just to correct you, it's on the opposite
It's on
side.
the other side of the road. Yeah.
Well, I'm still.
At the shed where it said music.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be just the worst. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm driving there. I was coming back from Watkins Glen, I think, and it was fine. The people,
He's advertising, I talked to the county and I talked to the health department, both had some pretty decent stipulations, it's gonna have 5 bands, it's gonna go. I think it starts on midnight,
I think he had 4 last year, maybe.
yeah,
The Jim Kear's involved from the county plan or county,
yeah, he was
Planning.
involved just in talks to make sure. As far as parking goes, and he has, turned in a map where everything's gonna be the fire lane, just like he did last year.
yeah, I thought that was good too. I had no
Now,
problem.
he has an
parking.
overflow parking too, because the county was super worried about people parking on the road.
Yep.
So he has an overflow on the other side of his house, would be on the north side of his house, he owns property right there, that people can park for an overflow.
Hmm.
So I just want everybody to be aware, cause.
what's
I
the
know-
date of it?
That was my next question.
It's in August,
So, sure.
I think it's, I wanna say August 9th. He sent me.
Same weekend as Watkins Glen like last year.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
sent
it's a
me the
Saturday.
brochure.
Woodstock, Woodstock Tour. Right.
This is all in the purview of the CEO.
Yeah, and but that's mainly because it's under 500 people occupying it. He's not gonna put up any tents. And it's guaranteed. So the county doesn't want anything to do with it because of that. They're putting all of the weight on me.
I think you should do it here at your house.
And the next day, when 900 people showed up.
Right.
Kind of gonna say, wow, hey.
School buses up and down Jersey Hill.
Oh my God.
That's a Hill Road, that's a school bus parking for Fancy.
That's all I have about that.
Woodstock 3.
Does this require that you're there counting heads?
Oh,
Like I say, from what I saw, I was like, oh, wow, this is nice. Okay, thank you. August 9th, concert. Is he still gonna do the donations thing again?
yeah, I mean, that was what I was gonna bring up, potentially, maybe we should look at the the permit that would be involved, because it's the state minimum requirements, maybe we have something a little bit stricter.
Yeah. I'd like to,
No, just according to the Department of Health, just the truck.
Truck is.
Yep, and he said that they have to be permitted in the county. He said a lot of times what happens is people get, say, the next county over permit, and then they go to Ontario County.
So it's up to you to make sure he gets
Yes.
those permits to you right off the head.
yep, and last year was BYOB, I believe, correct?
Yeah, they had
And again, I didn't see,
supposedly no food trucks.
Yep.
It was bring your own.
yeah, somebody was selling something. To my recollection, but it was, like I say, it was, what's that?
Well, I actually was on my way to a fire call. I was on my way there to check it out, and then got called over for a fire in Canada's Lake Road. So I couldn't even attend.
I'll try and attend it on my way back from New York, but, right, yeah, going right through there. Right about 11:30. Okay, time to wrap up. Speaking of wrapping up, any other privilege of the floor?
Yes. I don't know if anyone else has been contacted. I haven't, and without John being on the board anymore, my expectation is that the Memorial Day services will still be held as usual on Monday, the 26th. Anybody
Yeah,
else know?
I got the postcard today for that.
Well, then you're supposed to report it.
It's on the website.
No, it's not.
It's the usual parade, 11 o'clock, and we'll have our services here. The Legion should hopefully get a hold of us to see if we're doing it like usual.
Well, if you,
10 o'clock.
well, they don't get a hold of us. John just reported it. If you got a postcard though, I'll take that to put
Okay.
the information on the website, please. Thank you.
Sure, that'd be fine. Just got it today. Somebody brought me my mail
Perfect.
today. I don't know who. Some of it was
Perfect.
open. It should have been confidential, but okay.
Yeah, that's not confidential.
No, something else was confidential that got open, so I don't know who brought me my mail. Thank you.
Jesus.
Excuse me?
I have something I'd like to bring up.
Okay.
I was made aware of
Well,
a resident that got something in the mail from the county. It's been a few days, it's been a couple of weeks actually. County was asking for income information.
It's to help with grants and so forth, and it's like some people are really concerned about that. It's-
Maybe, but the feedback I got was. I'm not telling you nothing, you know, and you can stick it where you know what.
And that's sad, and I've heard that before, and they don't understand that. So it's like
Well-
taking a census and not cooperating with a census person because you're not getting the monies that you could if you told them how many people live in your house.
Well, okay, so you're not required to respond to that,
That's what I assume, you know,
number
but
one.
I was wondering if anybody knew about this.
Yeah, I was gonna continue on. I know all about it. It's in Kate, Mark's, your and my best interest. So the ring sewer, the sewer system on Honeywell Lake was put in approximately 1980. That sounds like 45 years ago. Ontario County Public Works and Ontario County Planning Department are preparing to write a grant to replace 35 sewer pumping stations around the lake. They're 45 years old. There's 35 of them, they're 45 years old. They're getting ready to submit a grant in July, just like Jersey Hill. And they're getting this income information to see if they can apply for lower interest rate bonds or loans or whatever.
Right.
You don't have to reply. But the cause is to write a grant and get low interest rate loans to replace 35 sewer pumping stations. That's what the deal is.
Okay.
And
Well, I.
you're
I
gonna
didn't-
want,
I didn't get no-
you're gonna want those sewer pumping stations replaced, trust me.
Well, I didn't see one of these communications.
Really?
It was in the letter.
Everybody that's in the sewer district should have received one. And it also indicated that there will be a second mailing if we don't respond.
Well, maybe I will see it.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
because I was kind of scratching my head going, I don't know what they're talking about, but.
Yeah, it's just so hard to comment.
It seems
See
to
things
stir
on
up
Honeyway
a
happening.
lot of fire from. From what I was hearing.
I had a resident call and ask about it, so I called the county, and that's exactly.
Yeah.
What they explained to me is what.
There wasn't a lot of information in the letter, I would give you that, but, you know, we can, you know, say to people, yes, and so that they can write a grant. And if, you know, depending on the response, there are potentially different grants that apply, especially if there's a lot of low income in the sewer district.
So it's to save the residents money in the long run.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that cost is going to be passed on to them if they can't get the lower interest rate grant.
Yeah, we could potentially see an increase in our infrastructure costs.
Yeah. So it's similar to the grants that we tried to apply for during the water district construction, and postcards were sent out asking about income, and people got upset about it, but it wasn't, the intent was to get lower interest rate grants.
Right.
What if it's the opposite? What if they end up, what if everybody on the lake ends up having a higher income? Does that mean that the grant interest rate will be higher?
Potentially, and you're not eligible for as many grants.
One more time. 35 sewer pumping stations, 45 years old.
Right. And they're expensive. And you want them to work.
And it'd be nice to expand our district on. By the
They
way.
got little lights on them.
We can add a few.
And I can
homes.
see the one on the north end of Pickle Point. Near Chris Singer's house. 50% of the time I see the red light on, not good.
Right.
The fire department gets calls on them all the time. Really. There's an alarm going off. Must be a fire alarm.
Anyway, that's what it's for.
Okay, thank you. And another privilege of the floor item. At this time, I would like to close this meeting and I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a financial, personal, or HR matter.
I'll second it.
Those in favor?
Aye.
We are not in executive session.